Okay, hello everybody. So my name is Muhammad Izam bin Masripan. So today I would like to talk about recession. So this is for my individual presentation for accounting class, DBA UTM. Okay, so as we all know now, currently we are facing a recession, a global recession, due to the pandemic, COVID-19. So this is the first time in history for Malaysia to lock down. Maybe currently we are mostly more than 1 month now, and okay, so maybe we can reflect back what will happen to our firms or maybe our company, and how does recession affect. Okay, my presentation will focus on this recession. What is actually recession? So the impact of recession to big corporations and impact to small businesses, and how and focus on maybe a key study on how growth are being done in recession, and maybe the last one is how SME can overcome recession. Okay, what is recession? So their saying goes that if your neighbor gets laid off, it's a recession. If you get laid off, it's a depression. So this is just a joke from Investopedia that I've got. Okay, so this is not entirely true, but the real meaning from economists say that recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth in the GDP. So you have 6 months of negative growth, then it will be considered as a recession. So the second definition is from the National Bureau of Economic Research, which stated that it's a significant decline in economic activities, whereas which spread across the economy and lasting for a few months. So in general, that we can see that uh, recession is when you have a negative growth for a few months or for a period of time. Okay, so when we have recession, these six issues will rise. The first one is people will start losing jobs. So as corporation will start downsizing and retrenchment and restructuring, and also disbanding, and there is less buying power from for people, so business are slowing down. So this is one of the effect to cut costs. Is first is to reduce the manpower. Okay, then we have the second one is the negative GDP, or maybe a very slow GDP. Okay, so for example, for us, for Malaysia, we are expecting a negative GDP for this year, as we don't have any activity or very minimal activity right now. And the third one is industry slowdown. Okay, so due to the COVID-19, it's very different from the normal recession, whereby in this type of time of recession, people are not able to go out and spend, or not able to work at all. Okay, so there's less spending and no job. Okay, and the fourth one is the low customer spending, and also the plummet of stock market exchange, and also business closure for big corporation, also SMEs globally. So the next one is to understand the economic cycle, uh, which shows that we have 4 stages of economic cycle, which is the early recession, and then the full recession here, the orange one, and then the early recovery, and then the late recovery. So as you can see here, this is the graph of the US economy. Okay, you can see that there's a peak here, and then goes to recession, and then goes for full recession, and then it comes back to full recovery, and then comes to full recovery, and then goes back to the peak. So this is a cycle for maybe a few 5 years or more, or maybe shorter, depending on the global economic scenario. Okay, so this is another graph. Okay, so this is the unemployment for workers in US. Okay, as you can see that there's a peak and then the rise and low, and this is similar to the rise and low of the economic cycle here, shown from the above graph. Okay, so what is the impact towards big corporations? Okay, certainly the impact is towards the sales and revenue, and also the profit will decline. So when profit is declining, so this big corporation need to sustain. Okay, in order to sustain is to cut costs. And how to cut costs is straightforward, is to stop hiring new people and maybe to retrench certain employees and certain function of the group, okay, and stop buying large equipment or maybe facilities or maybe even stocks. And they will also stop R&D works, and even with the stop of R&D, then certainly this stuff which focus on R&D will be retrenched or maybe restructuring, and new product rollout will be halted. Okay, so because they know that there are very less spending power, so there's no it's high risk to roll out new products. And also uh, during this recession is they use very low marketing and advertising. Okay, this will not only affect the big corporation but also impact on the vendors for the big firms. I can see for example here, let's say we have TM Telecom Malaysia as the big corporation. Okay, currently the sales are dropping for TM. Okay, so what they can do is stop certain production or certain outsourcing products, such as uh, the installation of Unify, or uh, buying certain equipment, certain uh, office equipments, and stopping some consultants projects. Okay, so halting these projects will affect the vendors, which are mostly SMEs. Okay, so for big corporation, which is in the fall in the Berhad group or having stock exchange, so the stock price will decrease, and with stock price decrease, and they will also have, with the low profit that they have, they will also announce lower dividend. Okay, so when there is lower dividend and stock increase, shareholders will request, because it's not norm as a non-performing group, so shareholders will request a new management. Maybe the CEO will sack, CFO, or maybe all the management will sack, and investor will pull out from the investing company. Okay, so this is the impact for large companies. Okay, so part of it is the credit impairment and also bankruptcy. Okay, so the recession will dampen the account receivable. Okay, people will make payments lower or maybe not at all, and this is all the vendors or maybe from the customers, and this will affect the account payable, which means that the big corporation will not have cash to pay the vendors. Okay, so this payment bad track record will affect all the credit facilities or the credit record for the company. So when the credit is bad, so the borrowing of loans will become harder, and loan, when it's not being paid, will result in bankruptcy. So this is uh, very hard, and this is what Malaysia currently we are trying to face, is to prevent such bankruptcy. So we extend the loan period to 6 months without even paying. This is the moratorium. So okay, so what happens when the employee is laid off and benefit being reduction? Okay, so when recession, okay, business will cut employees. Okay, so retrenchment and also lay off, so more work for less people. So these less people which stay in the company, we have to do multitasking job. So because okay, the productivity for one per head will increase, but with overload of work, then we will face a moral down. Okay, so the management and also the labor then will agree some mutual consensus, and maybe will result in the manufacturing or the closing of plants. Okay, this has been evidence uh, during for automotive, whereby the Ford factories close and some Volkswagen factory also closes due to the economy setback. Okay, so next one is cuts, okay, to qualify to quality of goods. And okay, so big corporation or businesses will have to reduce the quality of goods and services. Okay, this is due to an attempt to cut costs. Okay, for example, airlines, they will reduce the maintenance schedule, and maybe they install more seats in planes, so maybe that seats will in planes will be more crowded. Okay, so they will also cut some destination, and this will impact on the economy itself. Okay, and for example, another example is a food supplier, so they will sell less product with the same price, so and also lower quality, and also with the cheaper source they bought, because ingredients will not be the same. They try to compromise, they try to use a lower sources of products or ingredients, and then yeah, the quality of the food will not be the same. So this will compromise the flavor and the taste, and this will drive away the customers, and it's not good for the company to sustain. Okay, so we look, and just now it's a big company, so this is what happened to small company. In general, small company will face the same thing as the big firms, but you have to keep that in mind that small companies doesn't have cash reserve. Okay, doesn't have a longer, maybe can sustain 1 or 2 months without income, but not more. So this is true for 90% of the SMEs in Malaysia. Okay, so small companies doesn't have assets to make it as a collateral, so will make them harder to secure loans and harder to survive, and the bankruptcy rate is higher. So this will affect, for example, for Malaysia is very dependent on the SMEs. To SMEs, you can see that it's 40% of the GDP, and the workforce is around 60%. So if the SME goes bankrupt or closed down, so people will start losing jobs. Okay, and the GDP will be lower. So the impact towards the national GDP will be high. Okay, the next I would like to talk about the 5 characteristics of recession-proof companies. Okay, as you can see that there will be companies that can survive or maybe cannot survive. So these are the 5 characteristics that company that will survive during the recession period. Okay, number one is the company that provide critical repair services or maybe maintenance services for maybe like ambulance, so maybe hospitals, so maybe you have for this essential like buses that public transport need to go, no matter there is a recession or not, so people will still be using buses or RRTs. But in current COVID-19 lockdown, though this is not so true. Okay, so the second one is companies that sell consumer essentials. This like toothpaste, like foods, like groceries, so like meats. Okay, so they will survive because it's essential for people. Okay, the third one is who serve customers insulated from downturns. This is companies that have contracts with governments, maybe have contracts with the people who is not affected by the downturns. Okay, and the fourth one is provide mandates, product or services. Okay, companies that provide services like has been shown here, like the gloves or maybe uh, hospital products, hospital utilities. So this is customers, this is companies that will survive. And the fifth one is which sells proprietary or specialized product. So if you sell maybe something that is not replaceable, okay, it's maybe the best, or maybe have a pattern of this product, so will not be affected by recession. So this is, for example, as pharmaceutical or maybe health care companies that sell drugs. Okay, they sell drugs like as Panadol, or maybe vitamin C's, or maybe certain drugs for COVID-19. Will certainly be in demand and will not face any problem with recession. Okay, the next one I want to share is okay, let me open my pointer. Okay, companies that started during recession, so they are able to grow. The first one is IBM, which was launched in 1911, and currently in 2019, which has 77.1 billion. So it was launched by as a company, tabulating recording company CTR by Charles Pitt. Okay, and IBM got its start selling commercial companies, commercial machines. And then in the middle, this is in the middle of a 2-year panic where industry is downturn, and they take this opportunity to grow. Okay, so the next one is Disney. Okay, it was launched in 1929. Okay, so the brothers Walt and Roy Disney introduced the world to Mickey Mouse, okay, via the short animated feature Steamboat Willie. Okay, a year later in 1999, the duo incorporated Walt Disney production right as nearly as 4-year Great Depression. This is during the 4-year Great Depression was getting started. Okay, so you can see here. Okay, the next one is GE, okay, General Electric, which was launched in 1992. Okay, this company also survived in the was established during the business business dropped 40% of the nation. Okay, so and the next one is General Motors, which also established during 1908, where 30 business has declined. But then, okay, so this is the 13-month panic of 1907. Okay, the Durand decided to launch the GM as a holding company to acquire even more automobile manufacturers. Okay, so meaning that during this recession, they have the cash to acquire a lot more automotive companies and become the biggest automotive companies in US. Okay, others is Microsoft, which was launched in 1975. Okay, and Electronic Arts, producing games, and FedEx, Trader Joe's, Hyatt Hotel, and also HP. Okay, the next slide is to show you how SME can survive during recession. Okay, so the first one is, in order to survive, you need to protect your cash flow. Okay, protect your cash flow so that okay, you have enough cash to survive. Okay, so cash flow is a lifeblood for a business. So money must come in, and then the flow out is a cash out, should be controlled very precisely. Okay, so the next one is to review the inventory management. So any inventory that is low, very slow, so maybe you have to hold and focus on the fast inventory, and you don't want any inventory to be missed out, or maybe to be missing from your, okay. So the third one is to focus on the core competencies of the company. Okay, this is very important that we don't diversify on this phase. Okay, so we focus on what we are expert in. Okay, for example, for my company, I'm expert on car services, so focus on car services instead of trying to focus on new technologies or maybe new things. Okay, so win the competition customers. So this is the right moment that you win, you do a lot of marketing, okay, and win competition customers. They will try to put it back. Okay, and make the most of the current customers. So make your business very efficient, okay, may be more resilient to uh, better customer experience feedback. Okay, so the next one is to cut back. Don't cut back on marketing. So this is not the right time to maybe to put break on the marketing budget. Okay, okay, like EE did, that they spend the marketing on during the recession. Okay, so they spend a lot during recession. So this is time that most businesses hold back on their spending. So on this time, okay, Asia put a lot of effort on marketing and pay a lot, and this payback as people capture, people uh, remembers their product, okay, and uses it after the recession, okay. And second last is to watch your credit scores. This is important, okay. So you have the loan, and then you have to watch your CTOS, okay, and all. And this is important to get the right financial support. Maybe you want to apply loan, okay. uh, okay, so the last one is the bottom line. The bottom line in finance is the profitability, okay, the net profit, okay. Ensure that you have enough net profit to monitor this thing, the bottom line, so that you have enough net profit to help you sustain. Okay, if you're operating at a loss, so it will not be beneficial for any of the company. So thank you very much for uh, your attention on this presentation. Okay, we'll meet next time.